From full art to etched, Halo to textured, Magic the Gathering is developing a recent history of crazy and insane foilings. But for the most part, regular enthusiasts like you and I have not taken to these treatments. And this is showing no difference with the recent release of Commander Masters. So let's take a second to look at what's going on with Commander Masters textured foils and why, even on release day, they're not flying off the shelves. The Commander Masters hype cycle has culminated in the official release. As of the recording of this video, the set is out there for regular enthusiasts to go to their local game stores and buy their boxes and open their singles. And as always, a large portion of the Magic the Gathering community will just scream from the mountaintop, do not buy sealed product, just buy singles. When it comes to buying singles for this particular set, and maybe even other sets that contain rare and crazy foiling treatments, it seems that even on release day, we are not all in on buying some of these cards. Now, is it because of the price? We don't like the treatment? Let's take a deep dive and look at some of the popular Commander Master texture foils and why they're not moving off the shelf. What we have here is TCG Player, and I have limited the search to Commander Masters and textured foils specifically. So we want to look at a couple things here. We're of course going to take a look at price, and then we're going to dive a little bit deeper, and we are going to take a look at things like sell-through rate, number of buyers, when they were purchased, and then price history. All of these things are important when we try to gauge whether or not our community has really taken to a treatment, whether it's going to be something that's popular in the future. We have to start our adventure with the big daddy of them all, the main card that you're going to find in Commander Masters and that people are going to try to chase down, and that's going to be the Jeweled Lotus. This Jeweled Lotus textured foil is listed at $550 through TCG Player Direct, and as you can see, there's a good number of listings at or around that price. Now, this happens as people get their product, open the product, try to be the first to market, and just draw in buyers at a high price. So that's worth stating because we know at every Magic the Gathering set release, prices come out, they're high, and they tend to trace downward. This is pretty common with almost every card in almost every set. I guess some examples of that would be different would be maybe the One Ring, maybe things like Ledger Shredder from Streets of New Capenna, Fable of the Mirror Breaker in foil treatments, things like that. But for the most part, cards seem to trend down. Jeweled Lotus, on the other hand, does seem to be sitting a bit stagnant. Now, I know that other content creators and even Alpha Investments did a video about the high price of this card and how that high price was unwarranted, and I stand by that take. Other content creators that have made that take, I stand by that, but that seems obvious for the release of most crazy cards. Like, listen, if you're paying the high price at release, you're generally paying that price to have it first, have it guaranteed, and maybe, you know, money's just not that big of a deal, or that amount of money is just not that big of a deal to you. No judgment if it is or if it's not. But Jeweled Lotus is a weird one because when we look at the sales history on Jeweled Lotus, we see some weirdness here. We see a $550 sale that was today as of the set's official release. Then we see this block in the middle that I'm going to consider fake sales. There's 4 of them at $9.59, and as we follow along with data like this, these are guaranteed to fall off. And in fact, if you like looking at data like this, make sure you're subscribed and make sure you visit the channel membership. I'll pin it in the comment section below. I do a bunch of videos that dig into information like this, and it helps support the channel for only $5 a month. So I appreciate everyone who just clicks that link and checks it out. But Jeweled Lotus, outside of these fake sales, seemed to have been on a downward trajectory to begin with. People were eager to get their hands on copies, and it was selling at an okay rate for a pre-release card that is this expensive earlier in the week, but now that we have official release, people have gotten a bit skeptical. And I think what this is people are saying, hey, most of the product is hitting the streets today. I'm going to kind of hold on and wait and see where this goes. But with this many already available at $550, I don't see a run on the card at this price happening. I don't like to speculate. I don't want to give any financial advice. That's not what we do here. But this does seem to be like something that we will see tracing down. If you disagree with me, if you think this is going to go up, let me know in the comment section below. But if you think it's going to go down, listen, I'd love to hear from you. And it's weird. We already see a couple game stores that have decided a really popular thing with this set is we're not going to be able to sell these cards. We're just going to mass open them. They have 9 available. But outside the Jeweled Lotus, there are other Commander Master texture foils that I think could be pretty cool for people to own, and yet we're still not taking to them. The Dragon, in my opinion, is a fantastic example. Here we have the Dragon. It's a card that we clearly needed a reprint of. It's something that the fans of the community wanted more of to be able to play in Commander, but the textured foil version, the idea of bringing this blingy, crazy copy to your deck, is not hitting with consumers. In fact, there's even less, even at a lower price point, sold than we saw of Jeweled Lotus. And I think this is a bit weird. Maybe Jeweled Lotus isn't the best example here, but the portrait variations of cards I think are really cool. The idea that you have your commander out and about, sitting out there for everyone to see, I think is a great way to use a fancy or special treatment of a card. And I think the community long term will really take to the idea of commanders being serialized, or commanders, legendary creatures being super special, because of their ability to not only stay outside the 99, but stay kind of on display as almost a piece of art, something to be proud of, and that the whole table gets to see right before you start your game. The Dragon, however, at $200 seems a bit wild. It seems really expensive, and with all of these listings already, I mean, like, listen, we have 44 listings as of the day of release. People are still getting their boxes. These are mostly just stored TCG Player approved or affiliated accounts. I think the regular enthusiast that's opening their boxes is going to see this, see some opportunity to be made, and that's where we're going to see either, sell-through rate completely coming to a halt, which it might already have, or prices start to trend downward because, listen, the more people who put it on the market, if you have one and you're like, I'd rather have $150, $125 than this card, we're going to see kind of that trace to the bottom start. And hey, the other option is maybe people decide these are so cool and so rare, the community just doesn't get it, and I am willing to hold on to this card and take a loss. But I think there are some weird things going on with some of these other lesser known textured cards that I think could be important. If we take a look at Neheb the Eternal, which is ironically in the Wizards of the Coast box opening, I did a review of that box opening on this channel. Make sure you check it out if you haven't seen it yet. I'll try to remember to link it somewhere. But this card showed up in the regular foil, not the textured, but it's the full art and the regular foil. And this is it's obviously a very fun commander. It's very big red centric, and this card is a community favorite. It's not a community favorite, but it's definitely fun to play and it's accepted by the community. And because of that, we see a couple bought today. And ironically, we're seeing, I think, some of those fake sales as well, and 2 sales today, but nothing previously. Nobody going in and looking to buy this card before. And that's because, listen, if you're going to go all in and get a textured foil of these cards, you're going to kind of jump into the deep end of collecting Commander Masters and some of this stuff. I don't think you're going to start with the Neheb. You're not going to start from the bottom and work your way up. That's never how Magic's worked. There's always been a giant gap in the middle between regular and collectible cards. And that, to me, is a miss here, and I think we see that continue to happen with these textured foil cards. I think textured foil cards, they're a cool add to Magic the Gathering. I really like the concept, and I like what we do. I do think, however, we're going to see a quick drop in price for some of these things that we're going to look. And, I'm not saying that you should pick them up at that point. That is not what I'm doing. I'm not giving advice. I'm just saying I think we see the price continue to trend down just based on the sell-through rate of what we've seen. And I think it just goes to show something I've been saying on this channel for some time. If you think that Magic the Gathering products are just moved or adopted by our community based on whatever the high-end crazy alt art chase texture crazy wild foil is, then we've got tons of data that just says it's not. This is why serialized cards in Magic the Gathering do seem to be a win. It does give us an air of collectability. This is why things like the complete bundle from Phyrexia All Will Be One are something we covet, because it is a limited product. We have some feeling of this product being limited. Serialized card, limited products, things like that. It really helps us embrace this allure of collectability. And it doesn't matter, it seems, how crazy and fancy you make the card. With Wizards of the Coast reprinting everything as often as they get, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, it does mean we aren't willing to jump into the deep end of collectability when we're not guaranteed to have any kind of limited number of printings. That's just some quick analysis on, a day where I wouldn't normally make a video. I had a little extra time. I thought this was super interesting. If you think this is interesting, make sure you hit that sub button like we talked about. We're racing to 6,250 subs, and that'll be on to 6,500 already. I cannot believe we're going so fast. Thank you so much for hanging out. Make sure you share this video on social media platforms, anywhere you engage with Magic the Gathering discussion, because not only do I think discussions like this are important for our consumer side, I think they're kind of fun. I think it's really interesting to dig into the behind the scenes and look and kind of theorize why some of this stuff is happening. Until next time, you guys know me. My name is Josh. Thank you so much for hanging out, and we will see you around. Goodbye.